Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for the team of the week of round 4 of Super Rugby Unlocked. Another very interesting weekend, another high scoring weekend, and we're seeing a lot of points scored, a lot of tries being scored, which is making for some very good watching, to be honest. It's been quite an enjoyable couple of weeks of rugby. Lots of people are saying that it hasn't been clinical enough and it's been pretty poor defensively, which they've got a point. They have got a point. It could be a lot better, it could be a lot more clinical, and it could be a lot more tighter. But at the end of the day, it's very nice to see lots of tries being scored and lots of high point scoring game. I'll take this a lot more over sort of 8-5 or 9-6 sort of penalty driven contests. But I think what this weekend did sort of show is that the favourites have got to be the Bulls at this stage, alongside the Cheetahs, to be fair, depending on how they can respond. Obviously, they've had 2 weeks off now. And the Lions are definitely there and thereabout, because I think they've only won their one game, yes, but I think if you look at the Stormers and the Sharks games, they were definitely in both of those games and could have won them if they weren't sloppy. And they were still they still had their moments on Friday, but we're back to their attacking best by putting 61 points on the Griquas. So got to look at them. Stormers for me just look very unfit at the moment and very sort of nowhere. And Sharks are kind of, one week they play well, one week they're not playing well. So they responded pretty well after the Bulls loss, and they can definitely be in and around there. But just need to sort out sort of key issues. Before we go any further, please do consider subscribing. Bottom right hand corner there, we're trying to push for 200 subscribers, so please do consider supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Please also smash the like, jump into the comments, and let me know what you thought of the performances this week. This is our team of the week that we have picked, and a difficult one because there were some very big performances and very good players that didn't quite make the list that were very close. So we're going 1 through 15. I've got Oxen Chair at Loosehead, and I think Loosehead are pretty underwhelming this weekend. As they often are, because they're doing a lot of hard yards. And I thought Stephen Kissel didn't do much wrong for the Stormers, but did captain the side in a side which looked toothless, and it was a very average performance by the Stormers. They just couldn't get into the game. In fact, it was a very poor performance. They just didn't look like they had arrived. They looked very unfit and looked pretty poor. And I think Kitshoff made 7 tackles. I don't think he missed any tackles. He is Mr. Reliability. So he didn't play badly, but I'll go with Oxen Chair because I just thought he was a bit more exciting than Loose. And yeah, it was a bit difficult because there weren't particularly good standout performances at Lucid. Steve Satori for the Lions was very good scrum time, but missed too many tackles and missed a crucial one, which led to a try. Dan usually gets the not a hooker. I think a shout out has to go to Jakob Asaki for the Lions, who played very, very well. He was very good in the loose, made his tackles, was quite exciting, won a couple of turnovers. He played very, very well. The reason I've gone with Dan usually is because I think he was probably more vital to the Sharks' victory than Jakob Asaki was to the Lions, in that the reason that he was brought in and they moved Dylan Richardson to the flank is to be more accurate when it came to line-out time and to be just clinical. And the Sharks were, when they were under pressure against the Pumas, they just managed to sort of get the ball into the corner, set up a driving more, and he found his man. The line-outs were a lot better, a lot more accurate, and that's what got them over the line and in the end. So that's why he gets the nod for me. Carly is my tight head of the weekend. So good at scrum time. They demolished the Greek with scrum, and it was very good in the loose. Got around there, made his tackles. He's playing some very, very nice rugby, and it was such a big boost. The Lions managed to get him on a permanent contract from the Stormers, and he really is starting to play very, very well. The locks as well. I think between Nuruan Lokia and Marvin Ori, you've got two pretty traditional locks, really, where they're just hard workers. Nothing particularly flair about them. Not quite RK Sneema, who's out the back of the hand, offloads and stuff like that. But you've got two players who are very hardworking, very reliable on the line-outs. They make their tackles. And I think Marvin Ori in particular is playing some good rugby because he sorted out some basic issues in his game. Just discipline, really, I suppose. He had a tendency to give away too many penalties and be a bit sort of sometimes not just made some stupid mistakes, and he seems to have removed that part out of his game. And as such, he's playing a lot better. You look at the loose trio. I've got Marco van Staden, Albert Lowe, and John Ray Rudolph. Marco van Staden and Albert Lowe are just everywhere at the moment. That Bulls loose trio is fantastic. And, Dwayne Vermeulen is unlucky to miss out, but, John Ray Rudolph was just continues to be such a pivotal figure for the Pumas. And, on the losing cause, he did play very, very well, I thought. But Marco van Staden was everywhere for the Bulls. He's at the breakdowns, he's hitting gaps, he's carrying it well. And Albert Lowe is to be fair, could deservedly be keeping Arno Woods out the side at the moment. He's playing some very, very nice rugby. Quite physical, brings a lot of good defense, decent on the attack, and sort of good performances there. And Ivan van Zale, masterclass really, and Jay Quad lauded the effect that Fourie du Preez is having. And to be fair, I haven't seen Ivan van Zale play that well. I don't think, to be honest. And I'll tell you why, because I think he's very good at his game management and he's very solid. His distribution is very solid. He's good at seeing a game off. His kicking is pretty good. But we saw quite an exciting amount of Denzel on the weekend. He was hitting some gaps. He was being a lot more explosive. And I think you could definitely see a Farid Priya sort of influence on the way he was starting to play, which was very interesting. And Morne Steyn gets the nod, which is also interesting. I think Kerwin Bosch got man of the match for the Sharks and was very, very good. Alton Jantjies was very good for the Lions as well. So I think Vlahoff was one of those positions where there were some very good performances. But Morne Steyn was, just did everything right. And I mean, there's now people saying that he's making a case to move back to the Springboks, which I think is a mistake. I think it's a bit of a backwards move. I understand that with Pollard out, something like that, maybe you want to go with someone a bit sort of tried and tested. But I just think it would be a pretty negative move to bring him back into the Springbok setup. But he did play very, very well. His kicking is, as we know, very good. He had a very nice try assist, sort of out the back door, really. So yeah, he was very, very impressive. In terms of the wings, two players who made their return this weekend and were fantastic. Courtney Skossan scored a hat-trick. He just brings so much energy to the Lions. Pace, arguably the best finisher in the country, really. And that's saying something because there are some fantastic finishers, but that's what he does. He will punish you. You give him a sniff, and he will punish you every single time. And I thought he was brilliant. Brought some pace, and he was exactly what the Lions were missing on the wing. And Madosh Tumwe, I think he ran about 125 meters with the ball over the weekend. He was everywhere. He scored a fantastic try, which was pretty poor defense. But saw the space and exploited it. But he was just full of running. He got past the defenders most time and made a very big impact on his return to the Sharks. The centers were also pretty difficult to choose, and I've gone with Cornel Hendricks at inside center because I just think he's made such a nice transition there. He's exciting, he's big, he's running nice lines, he's got a bit of an offload game. You see that sort of sevens experience, and it's just so nice to see after that whole health scare. He was playing club rugby, it looked like his career was over, and now he's playing some really nice rugby for the Bulls. So hats off to him. And then outside center was difficult because Stedman Guns once again scored a brace. But for me, you can't overlook Wandisile Simelane, who was electric for the Lions. He was at the heart of everything good. He was part of like 4 or 5 tries where if he wasn't, and he scored a try himself, but yeah, he was just everywhere. Some ridiculous offloads, some fantastic running. He tries to hit gaps. He's not a player he's a very non-South African player, I suppose. Because you look at our centres traditionally, and Jacques Fourie and Lukhanyo Am is sort of a step on from that because he's big physical, but he's got an offload game, and he can even sort of kick and chase and stuff. But traditionally, we've always had very big centres who are very hard hitting and very physical. Simelane is not that. He's a player that likes to find the space. He looks for the offloads. His acceleration off the mark is very good. And I think that we're looking quite blessed with outside centres at the moment because Lukhanyo Am is miles ahead of the rest, but Stephen Guns is playing some nice rugby, and Wandisile Simelane, when he gets his opportunity, and it's frustrating as Lions players, you haven't seen more of him, because when he plays very, very well, and he's very, very exciting. So credit to him. You can't drop him now. He played some fantastic rugby, but it was a difficult position to choose. And then for fullback, Mani Libbok was quite good. Johnny Lombard was good on the attack, struggled a bit on the defense. David Creel was looking very good for the Bulls, but I've gone with James Verity-Am, and I just thought he worked tirelessly from the beginning to the end for the Greek Quiz, and he was their best player. He really did play quite well in the losing cause and tried very hard. And I think that he's a player who's putting their hand up. And that's what I keep saying, that this competition is an opportunity for the likes of Pumas, Greek Quiz, and to a lesser extent Cheetahs, for players to put their hands up and try and get into the big U. Obviously there's two different sides. There are players who have come from the big unions and sort of now ended up at a Greek Quiz and a Pumas and sort of still playing, but sort of towards the latter area of the career. You think of George Whitehead, even Tim Schoon, I suppose. Neil Murray is now playing at Pumas. But there are a couple of those sort of players who sort of moved on to these sort of franchises and had their big chances at the bigger franchises. On the other hand, there's a lot of youngsters coming through the smaller sort of franchises, trying to put their hand up and try and get moves to the big franchise to possibly play in a Pro 16 tournament next year or whatever Sanzar tournament it is. So that's why I think it's been interesting that a lot of players, like Jean-Louis Rudolph, he's been fantastic this tournament. James Verity-Am has been very good. Ginter Smuts been very good as well. There's a couple of good players who are definitely putting their hands up. Neil Moritz is another one. So it's good to see though. But that's my team of the week. Let me know what you think in the comments. Jump down below. Let me know. As I said, please do consider subscribing. Smash a like as well if you enjoy this type of content. Lots of stuff coming up. Obviously, a preview of every single game, so don't you stress. If you all the information you need, all the news, you will be here locked on Forever Sports and Forever Rugby, and hopefully a version on Pio Dianti this week. That is the sort of a big news that we are waiting for. Really hoping we can find a verdict, and I'm really hoping that he does get cleared. I mean, I was just watching some highlights, and I think we've forgotten how good he was. And I think we are blessed with wings, but I think he comes in, and you've got the likes of Mapimpi, Dianti, Spoon, Corsi, and Ches and Colby. Name a side with better wings than that. I mean, really. So we'll have to monitor that situation. We keep it locked on Forever Rugby. We'll bring you the latest updates regarding that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.